Hello again, it is JQ Crafty. It is this awesome wood grain hop that we're putting on through the Secret Not Secret Kit Club. So many people want to know, like, are too scared to use wood grain or want to know other ways to use wood grain. I love to use wood grain. My favorite way is as a background, and you can do mixed media on top of it. It looks gorgeous. My second favorite way is to actually cut out cut files, and I'm doing this part also as one of the Confessions of a Paper Addict Cutfile's design team member. This is one of the new releases of Virginia's Cutfiles from the Confessions of a Paper Addict. I will have our Facebook group and this Cutfile linked in the in the Etsy, her link to the Etsy shop down below as well. But I love cutting out cut files in wood grain too. It just gives them an extra, a homey look if that's what you're looking for. So I'm gonna go ahead and back the banner part of the cut file, and then we're gonna do some shimmers paints on our background paper, which I still haven't figured out what I'm doing yet, so maybe I can figure that out too. But I'm gonna do some shimmers paints behind the flowers. We're not gonna back them. We're just gonna put some paints behind them, and it's gonna look really pretty. And I have these cute photos of my niece and my husband snuggling on Thanksgiving last year. So, and then, and I'm gonna play with Days of Splendor from Pink Fresh, their newer fall collection. So we're gonna play with that as well. So let's get started. So I ultimately decided, I don't have a lot of 12 by 12 left in this Pink Fresh collection. I don't think I got all of them either, now that I think about it. I got like a million embellishments. But I ultimately decided to do this stripe paper. I really like the paper on the back, this back side. But I ultimately decided to do stripe paper, and I decided what I wanted to do is I had just swatched all my shimmers, so I kind of knew I had some colors that matched pretty well to these stripes. And so my decision was, and honestly, it didn't turn out the way I thought it would, but I still liked the way it turned out. I was gonna make it look almost like the stripes were bleeding color. So the first one I'm doing right now is actually an acrylic paint spray from Dina Wakley, and it's gilded. And so it is like a golder brown color. It's almost the exact same color as this dark goldish brown color on this stripe, which was very interesting to me because it's technically a gold spray, but it's more of a yellow gold. So I did that one, and then the one above it that looks like almost like a pale lilac, I did with that one I did with First Blush. It's an Inklings from Shimmers. And then above that is like the deeper purple. I did Wisteria Lane Shimmers Paint. And then the kind of pale pinky color below the gold, I did Antique Lace. And then the very bottom, Mint to Be. It like matches Mint to Be perfectly. So what I did is I clear gessoed all of it. And then I'm putting a little bit of water down on the stripe first, and then adding those paints and kind of smearing it around. And I do go back and do some more smearing after it dries a little bit. It started puddling a little bit in some spots, so I have to blot it up. But I just kind of smoosh it around. And my thought was it would look really pretty behind the flowers, and it would, and it does. But then I end up, the cut file's big enough, and then I have 3 photos. It covers a lot of it up. In the end. So I left a lot of this in because then actually building the layout after this is done does not take long at all. So here I'm blotting up because despite being gessoed and Pink Fresh having actually very thick paper, it does start puddling and kinking where it gets very saturated. And so I'm just holding the cut file to make sure that I'm getting it so that the color at least extends. So when I'm looking at the finished product, the color behind the flowers is there. It's not a white stripe anymore. But they're not as saturated and as rich as I was hoping. It was a trial, not necessarily error, but just knowing, okay, and I'm not like an expert in mixed media at all. I play with it, and that's what I encourage everybody else to do because I don't know what I'm doing. You don't have to know what you're doing. Just play with it. But this is teaching me. So, okay, these Shimmers paints, even though they are quite concentrated, they're very light, and they're not going to be so concentrated like almost like a Distress Oxide where they're chalky and they are saturated to the point and opaque. they can be a little more clear. So that's what I'm learning about these. But it still gives a nice look to the bottom of my page. And I do like that I can tell the difference between the crisp, clear stripes at the top above my photos in the finished product. And then below is like this watery, dreamy wish-wash of color. Not as much as I hoped it would be, but it's there, right? Right. So yeah, let's skip ahead. So here, that was it done. And while it's drying, I'm going to do this. So I'm going to back the photos on the back of this like minty, it's the same colors like the minty paper. And then I'm going to do 2 of them on the other side of that, which was like a deep blue. I'd already ripped it up. It was a really pretty paper, but I'd already ripped up. I didn't get like a 6x6 or 6x8 pad that came with this collection. So yeah, I was actually very limited on my papers. I could have dug through my stash to see if I had similar things, I guess, but I'm lazy. And when I'm just working with this collection, sometimes like when there's plenty of paper there, I'm just going to work with the collection, right? And then I backed the other photo on the like peachy-ish color paper. I should have had them in front of me. So you could know the names. But there, lined them all up. I glued it all down. I popped up the Cutfile on some foam as well, using some Duri strips to get a little skinny parts behind where the flowers are, and using some fun foam and foam squares for where the banner is. And I like it. It looks very pretty. It just, the mixed media didn't come out the way I thought it would, but I really like the effect. Now, what is kind of awkward in my mind, and maybe I shouldn't even point it out to you, because then you're going to think it looks awkward too, is the fact that I really would have liked my photos to be tucked under my flowers. But at the same time, like, I did all that coloring. I didn't want to cover it up. I had this thought, like, when I was planning on doing this and when I was thinking about it, I had the thought as well. So it was really hard. So it is what it is, right? It's still a pretty little. I love the story. I wish I would have left myself a bigger journaling spot, but I have more photos of this day, so I can journal more on those other pages. But I put the title down because I wanted to make sure I got it to fit, and I wanted to make sure I got it on there. And it's Cozy with Pol, P-O-L, because that is the way my niece says my husband's name, Paul. Pol. So, and then I'm just going through and tucking some of the chipboard, circles that came in the collection, a lot of the leaf ephemera, because I have a whole pack of the floral. So these ones all came just in the regular ephemera pack. Tucking a lot of those, a couple puffy stickers. I tucked those slippers up over there on the right hand side. Some puffy stickers of leaves. The camera I'm going to tuck up in there. I just tuck all these things in the Cutfile, and I really love it. And then I'm going to get up here on the top, I'm going to put like a dream, and then later I'm going to come in and have to peel it up because I glued everything down with wet glue because of the mixed media and the gesso. I didn't gesso the top of the paper, but just because I also splattered all those shimmers kind of on the background, just to make sure everything stayed down, I just did wet glue on everything. So I put that like a dream. I'm going to add a little label from the cardstock sticker sheet up there in a little bit, and then one of the florals so that it looks like a little cluster, just to give it a little something. And yeah, I will journal up there in the upper left. But yeah, right now you're just going to watch me fuss and tuck all the little things in. Yeah, there were some awkward gaps. Like I was saying, it's something about how normally I would tuck something in so those florals would overlap completely. So it looked like the photos were tucked into the banner. And I didn't want to do that though, because I'm like, I did all this work and I didn't want the work to only show on the bottom, because I really like the purple part, even though, like I said, the mixed media didn't turn out the way I thought it should, or thought it would in my head, but I still like it. Right? The things we have to deal with. But here you go, you guys. Thanks for watching. I hope you're inspired to use Woodgrain if you've been scared before. Everybody else who's playing around with this, hop, link down below. Here's a close-up. I appreciate you. See you next time.